we go, bands and clubs of the triangle. Work is done, just got paid. Let's go hit that local stage. In the heart of this vibrant town, local music is where I'm found.
The party has started. We're starting the weekend early.
Singers with stories will last for more. Drums keeping rhythm, keys adding spice. In this local bar feels so nice.
I love it. 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 Hey, it's LT Bands and Clubs of the Triangle, ncbandsandclubs.com. And what a special time this is. And, you write a song, you publish a book, it comes out, the movie comes out, and then it does what it does. And then maybe a year and a half later, you promote it, man. You promote it. But we are with the amazing Keith Goldstein. And we opened up with Keith on the screen, but also playing the jingle that he was so kind and gracious that he answered our call and he wrote a jingle for Bands and Clubs of the Triangle. Thank you, Keith, and welcome.
Well, you always come up with so much energy in the beginning. I wanted to have something that matches what your energy and your sound, your feel, and your message.
Thank you. And you did exactly that. And I believe we can do it. We can bring it back. We can do things stronger and stronger. All volunteers on this end. But Keith G, the professional, a musician, singer in the Triangle, and gosh, he comes with a wealth of experience. And we're going to learn a little bit more about Keith G, and our marketing experience says it went to Keith G, I don't know, a few months ago, 6 months ago, maybe a year, but all this rebranding that you do, some people knew you as Keith Goldstein, but here it goes, Keith G. How's that feeling for you?
Well, I've been playing years. I actually started as a drummer early in my life. And then for the last 10 years, I've been playing acoustic guitar solo and sometimes a duo with Ray Perez. And that was going fantastic. And I was playing with Mike Ganji. And I had bought a new cajon, which is a box that's a drum alternative.
Hey, that's what that's called, honey. Cajon.
Cajon. Yeah,
cajon.
Like your cajones. I got to play my cajones. This thing's digital, and I was able to change the sounds to make it sound like a drum, make it sound like a cajon, make it sound like percussion. And it was really kind of fun. And then Mike said, if you get a drum set, we could do the full band. And within a week, I bought this thing, my V drum set, because my old kit is just too freaking big to bring around. And once I started playing this thing, it just opened up I forgot how much I love playing drums.
Gosh, yeah.
So I went back, started playing with the Humble Braggers, then got picked up by Bad PR.
Right. Yeah.
And there's a whole bunch of others we could talk about later.
We'll get there. But yeah. I guess, good description in the intro. But we will back up because I just find this path very interesting for anybody. We can walk up to anybody in the Triangle, it seems. What brought you to North Carolina? How did you get here? What was your path? And there aren't many true North Carolinians right from birth. Tracy swears she's got a little bit of that in her. It's maybe 90%, 85%. But let's, I've learned, and I found it very interesting, all of your background professionally, but the short version we'll take. But what brought you to North Carolina, or what were those roots and path to get here?
So I grew up in the New York City tri-state area in the suburbs. I worked in Manhattan most of my career. Started out as an audio engineer, jingles, working on music, albums, film, TV. And by the end of my time in New York, I was a video producer and I was directing a newscast that was doing stories about real estate. 2006, 2007.
Okay.
We were doing one of the first online webcasts that existed. And when I was interviewing all the skyscraper builders, they said doom and gloom was coming to the real estate market. No one's ever seen that in our lifetime. So I said to my wife, we're selling our house. We're getting out before this thing hits. I wanted to come to North Carolina because I heard a lot of people were moving here, wound up going to Hershey, Pennsylvania as what I call the layover because that's where job offer took place, but
Right.
then finally got here.
And North Carolina is from west to east, coast to mountains, but you knew the place would to be, you thought was in Triangle or Apex, or I can't remember.
Definitely here. Well, my wife, she's a doctor. She's in medicine, so this by the Research Triangle is the place to be for them.
Yes, yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah.
yes,
So
yes,
it's all about the jobs. You
yes,
always move where the jobs are.
yes, yes. The industry that you just described, New York, and finding your lane in it.
Mhm.
Um, I claim that that's not the easiest thing to do. I guess you were in the right market, but how do you describe,
Mhm.
obviously skill set, but very fortunate, but can you talk a little bit of that path and that lane and because if looking at resume or some of your experiences with major companies and some artists, how did you
Mhm.
get into that groove?
I've learned you always got to be open to new things, new opportunities. And some people say, where are you going to be in 5 years? No clue. I never would have guessed any of this would be 5 years ago. But when I was in New York, for instance, I found a producer that I was doing, we were working on uh, soap operas, Day of Our Lives. I don't know, name all the soap operas,
Right?
ABC,
All my
CBS,
children.
All my
All My
children.
Children. Yeah. So we were creating music libraries for those shows. Okay. And he bought one of the first Pro Tool systems that ever existed. It was actually called Sound Tools at the time. It was only 2 tracks. And he said, I don't know how to use it. Go figure it out. So I sat in a room, taught it to myself. I had just come out of recording school when college. I took a 4-year program that
Okay.
was a sound recording technology program, part of the music school. Um, so when I taught this thing to myself, I said, hello, world. I now know how to use sound tools. And they said, great. What are you going to do with 2 tracks? Because that's all it was at the time. So I started doing recording voiceovers in New York, not of myself, but of like famous people doing voiceovers.
Right.
And because that was the first way to edit really fast. And the older audio engineers, they were like, yeah, but that stuff doesn't sound good. It's digital. And I said, well, it sounds as good as what you put into it. And those guys all lost their jobs to young guys like me that Sound Tools became Pro Tools and multi-track and layers of music on top of voiceovers. Next thing I know, I was mixing TV shows, movies, all the music for all kinds of things, for jingles, for advertising. It was like an endless amount of work.
So in your career, my career, your career, but we've lived in some amazing years as far as
Mm,
technology. That's certainly true, right, Keith? And you're talking of that path of technology changing, getting better, uh,
mm,
getting more accessible. I think to many that maybe, but of course, your 4-year degree. But it's amazing in my life spanned how things have changed in the lane of, gosh, here's an example, Zoom, but broadcasting, sound.
mm.
A lot of that is just at our fingertips, my fingertips, when I really would have never expected that I'd have those tools to be doing much of what we're doing today. Is that true?
Look, I owned a video production company. To do what we're doing right here used to cost tens to 50 to $100,000 to pull this off.
Right, right.
Now, and now people are doing it in their homes. That's why I always move on to the next thing because when I start seeing that the average person could do certain things, it's time to start looking for the next.
Yes, yes, yes. Well, thank you for that in the path
Yeah.
of your career and your path to get to North Carolina. We're glad to
Mm.
have you. Thank you for coming.
Mm.
We're glad to have you,
Yeah.
Dr. Nurse and Keith G.
Yeah.
Okay, here's the real you've sprinkled on it already, but here's the real quiz test. And I don't know if your household has one, but we have two of them, so you can have one. If you do this successfully, this list, you can have a cat, the most friendliest cat in the world. Uh,
What's that?
Keith G, name the bands, the solo, the duos, the bands that you currently, over the last year or coming up in, we're meeting you more even today in the
Mm.
year to come. But it's quite a list. But help us in the different scenarios in musical act situations, what you're involved in.
Okay, so Keith, let's see if I can remember them all. So Keith G goes on a Keith G duo. Sometimes it's a solo. That's with Ray Perez. That's more of an acoustic. I like to take songs that everybody knows and I mash them up with different drum beats and different tempos and different keys. And I like to mess around with them.
Yes.
That's the guitar part of it. The drum part of it, we talked about the Humble Braggers, that's very different. That's like an acoustic rock and roll. Mike Angie's very similar in that he has his own style, and I sit there and I'll enhance what he's doing, keep a rhythm for him, do some background vocals.
Right.
But then recently, Bad PR, which is a completely different band, that's with Jim Bader and now the new Chris Hurley bass player. That's more of like a rock dance party 80s
Yes.
to
Yes.
2000s. They're like much heavier, faster. A lot of the stuff that I used to listen to, and I've known Jim for a while. I loved the songs that he was playing, and when I heard that their drummer had to drop out for work reasons and personal reasons, I
Right.
jumped on that,
Right.
uh, and so that's been going really well. Then I also recently I've been playing with Steve V and Company. Now Steve V is a Southern rock deadhead. He does a whole mix of stuff like that, like "Ain't Wasted No More Time," the Altman Brothers, or Can't You See," Marshall Tucker Band, that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
along with Grateful Dead, and that's also with Ray Perez playing bass.
Okay.
And these guys, it's unbelievable. The you get musicians that we don't even have to rehearse. We just watch each other. It
Right.
just picks up
I'm
great
checking them
stuff.
off.
Okay.
I think you
I got
about.
one more
Okay.
new one.
Okay.
So I met this guy, Kevin Campbell, who is he's a more of a solo guy. He's a singer songwriter from LA. I don't know if you've ever seen him. He moved
No.
here recently. He's more of like an R&B, pop, soul, all original music. This guy's got 8 albums. He can do covers too, but he likes to do his originals, and it's much more mellower. And I started playing with him, and it's just totally different from everything else I do.
Well, Keith, I think the question
Yeah.
is, let's say 3 weeks from now, you're getting towards a weekend, Friday, Saturday, and you've
Mm-hmm.
mentioned, I'll just say 5, 6 opportunities. So
Yeah.
they on a Saturday night, they all would like to play, but they're all calling you on the phone and saying, "Hey, I need you. I need the amazing
Yeah.
Keith G."
And I got,
How has that been working out?
well, the good thing, bad PR, uh, he specifically has a lot of time blocked out. He does a lot of traveling for work. Uh, he's got personal home life stuff that he
Right,
likes to
right.
do. So there were definitely some holes. That's why I was able to fill in with this other stuff. I definitely got concerned. I didn't, I don't like to spread myself thin. Um, but so far it's worked out. No one's had a problem yet.
Gotcha.
And, people sign up in advance enough. If there's enough time, there's no conflicts.
Right. Now, it's saying a lot about you, but how do you handle all those different styles of music and that just fascinates you, or that's part of your personality?
I think it's, working in TV for 17 years. I've used every kind of music as editing music
Yes.
into different things. So I could see how music changes the feel and the mood of whatever video it's behind. So
Yeah.
I I've just been forced to. I mean, even in college, I played in jazz ensembles, I played in rock bands, I played in orchestras.
Right, right.
So
Well, I think special person, special personality. Yeah, are you are I have a good case of ADHD. Do you have any labels, Keith G? Can we go ahead and share your labels?
my
Okay, maybe not.
pronouns.
All right, maybe not.
Wait, this is Tracy. I'm not on camera, but Keith, I am sitting here listening to you, and we've had
Yeah.
this conversation before, and every
Uh-huh.
time I'm like, "Oh, that's right. Oh, he did say he did that or does
Yeah.
that." I mean, you're so talented and so versatile, and I mean, I'm just sitting here in awe of you, like I do every time I listen to you.
Ah,
And I mean that so, so sincerely, Keith. I really do hope you know that. And I hope that, our audience who has not seen you really takes the time to listen to this because, there are amazing artists in our area.
Mm.
Absolutely. There are other people that have worked on, and I'm sure, maybe, television and movies, but it's always just so thrilling to know we have that much talent in our backyard.
Yeah, I'll go on camera. I want to see you.
I know. We had we
You
actually had
promised that she was going to be in lingerie too.
we had a
So
Well, I'm
discussion.
not. I'm not in lingerie. I'm
uh,
not in lingerie, but I'm not really like camera ready.
We
It's been
had
a long
discussion.
day.
Are you going to be
uh,
involved in this interview? No, I'm
No,
not. No, I'm not.
listen to Keith, and I'm reminded of
Oh,
how much I really respect you and love you and your wife, and we just always have such a good time, hanging out together. But
all right.
again,
I
just
got
so
lots
much,
of questions here.
just
That's not on this piece of paper.
you
Yeah,
are,
yeah,
just like I'm
yes,
truly in awe.
yes.
Again, as always,
He's like Prince. He's like our own Prince. Yeah.
I like that.
well, we've really clicked because when I don't play out like this coming up weekend, what do? I go to the list. That's where I find out where I'm going to go.
Right.
Thank
Certainly,
you.
certainly.
Thank
Of
you.
course, of
Yes,
course,
yes. Thank you.
of
Thank you.
course. All
Okay,
right.
goodbye again.
Okay.
You can have both cats. Okay, you can have both cats. Um,
By the
the
way, I have two cats. The best thing I've ever done, I just bought a robot to feed them, and I bought the litter robot for the
yeah,
litter.
yes,
I don't have to do anything with them anymore.
man, you are living large.
It's fantastic. I want more robots for everything.
You are living large. Talk about the energy level or preparation, solo versus part of a band. Um, how does that take? What does that
So
take in your prep time, or just in how you approach it?
for the bands, I like to do as much homework as I can. We have a very little rehearsal with any of these people, but I will listen to the tracks, the reference tracks that they send me or I find, and I chart out everything. Now, I don't necessarily use the charts. I mean, I'll have them as a cheat sheet,
Right?
but the process of creating the chart, it's more for the background vocals than anything for me. So this way I have lyrics in case I forget them. But the process of creating the chart means I know the whole arrangement of the song by doing that.
Yes.
Once the
Yes.
solo stuff, that's a little different. That I will program drum loops, and a lot of times it's different than the original song. I'll just say, okay, here's the drum loop. How can we, and then just play the song to a different groove, and it comes out different. And sometimes I get very surprised by the way it's going to come out. And then if I keep that groove going, it's like, okay, what other song can I play in this groove? And then I'll keep it going, mash it up with a couple more songs, and I just have fun with it.
Amazing, amazing. Sounds like fun if you're capable of doing it.
Yeah.
Like fun. Um, as we started, you helped us, you blessed us, you co-wrote. Uh, I'm getting old, Keith. Don't get old like me, Keith. But this path on the jingle, I feel like I came up with a concept. I think I had some words down, but just by what you're teaching us today with this interview,
Mhm.
man, really was the blessing. Hey, this is what I've got so far. Gave it to you.
Well, a lot of that came from we got together, right, at one of the venues one afternoon, and we
Yes,
just talked about it. And that's the best thing to do. Just talk it. Not we don't need the exact lyrics. We don't need just what are your thoughts? What's the message you're trying to do?
right, right.
Right. And after I think it was like an hour and a half, we were sitting there, and all of a sudden the line came out, "Where do we go? Where do we go?" And I said, "Bands and clubs of the triangle," and the whole thing just took off from there.
Yes, it did. And describe it again. Again, pretty amazing. But you did all the layers. You did the all the layers, all the instruments.
Yeah.
Um, um, that's
Only
about
because
how we
I
describe it.
because
And
I can't. My budget for other musicians was
yes,
so
uh,
yeah.
right.
I did
No
the same
budget.
thing. I created a drum loop, wrote a melody, figured out some chords behind it, then went back and played live drums on top of it,
Right.
replaced the loops,
Hmm.
took a guitar, put a pedal on and made it pitch down an octave. That was my bass because I didn't have a bass here.
Right.
And then I've been teaching myself to play lead guitar. I just started that recently, so I threw some leads on there. And
Right.
it's a fun
So,
process.
so out of all that came our
Mm.
jingle, a jingle with the vision to use it however we thought we could, trying to be
Yeah.
creative with it. But
Mm-hmm.
as related to a bed, even we have the singing of a first line or two, and then it goes to the bed of music, such as for a talkover. Um, trying to,
Yeah, because as an audio mixer, it's best to use instrumental sections while you're talking over it. They don't
yes.
fight each other. So I wanted to, having worked with a lot of stock music libraries and all the different versions, I wanted to give you all the different options for the future.
So very you debuted that jingle for us at Niche Lounge, I believe, uh,
Mm-hmm.
Holly Springs, for the people enjoying you that evening a while back.
Yeah.
And then such as we're talking the last musical act group, we enjoyed you playing the drums on Bad PR. And upon our arrival, just a
We
normal.
had never played.
I
I threw that at them. It's like, you
yes,
ready? Here's a
yes.
chart. Go.
So the normal
Yeah.
nice greeting that we get, hellos and so forth, appreciate that always. And you threw it out. Like you said, Jim and Bayan certainly talented, and our jingle was sang in its full extent that night. Bad PR, that was at one of our backyard, right? I think that was at backyard.
Yeah, I think it was.
I don't know. I get confused. Backyard, back then, bar and grill. Too many names are similar. Too many names are similar. But yes. Um, all right, you talked about what's behind you. We're talking about acoustic drums, we're talking about
Mm-hmm.
electric drums. I was told in a city like busy city like New York, um, you're moving around a lot of times, not in your own by cab or whatever. And
Yeah.
a taxi is not very accommodating for the acoustic drums. Therefore, what's the answer? The electric drums, which I think are described much easier to get around and smaller in nature. I've seen some neat fold-up kits that are pretty amazing. But which do you prefer, or what am I
Yeah.
describing that right, or some of the benefits?
So this one, I love this one. I was going to get, there is a higher up model that the drums are thicker. They look like real drums,
Okay.
but they feel pretty much the same. Now, because these are thinner, I could take this whole thing, fold it up in half, throw it in the back of an SUV, for the most part. I mean, a couple pieces have to come off, but it's just so much faster. It's so much easier to move it around.
Right.
But this thing is a freaking nightmare to move around. I don't even think I would play drums again if I had to still move that around.
Gotcha. But
So
yeah. Now, what are the arguments? Sound or
well, that's the other
drummer?
thing. I don't have to bring microphones. We don't have to do sound check. It's
Right.
it's the presets. They're there. They're already mixed. I already set all my levels.
Yes.
And then I could change the sounds. It could be a drum set. It could be world percussion. It can be congas. So it's very versatile.
And all chicks love drummers. So you haven't. I know Roland, but you marriage. I understand that, but you haven't seen any down course of anything one set over the other. And Tracy's shaking her head like she would know the answer, but well,
I'm just
okay.
curious what he's going to say.
Oh, all right.
He's like, I'm leaving it.
Put it this way: by the time we're done packing up, the whole club is practically closed.
I know.
There's no one there.
I know. It's not what if
It's a lot of hours.
And then we always have this not argument, but I am so riled up after a gig. I want to first go out. So I'm going to an after hours place. Roland gets pissed at me because it's way too late and bad things happen after certain hours. Right. But I'm sorry, I just can't come home and go right to bed.
I can't either.
Right.
And I'm not even playing.
Right.
Yeah.
He's asleep and I'm still wired.
And, all right, so you'll hang out with me after hours.
There you go, Keith. We'll go hang out.
You bring your lingerie.
No.
Good try. You spoke of your preparation, but one of our questions was, do you still practice, rehearse? I feel like the answer is yes. You're pretty in tune with that, but how do you answer that?
I feel like you never ever stop learning. Just when you think everything's fine, all of a sudden, the fact that you can go online and find lessons now, I've found some younger drummers that are doing things that I've never thought of doing it that way. There's certain fills, starting with the left hand instead of the right hand when you're a righty. And now that opens up a whole new world. So I've gone back. I'm now trying to teach myself to play drums lefty. I'm a righty. Because the ambidextrous all of a sudden opens up all these new grooves when you can do it both ways.
You're amphibious.
Amphibious? Does that mean I'm drumming in the water?
Well, that means I'm old and I remember some basketball interview.
Ambidextrous, I think, is what you were looking for.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. All right. Well, impress us. Of course, New York. Gosh, walking down the street, we may be amazed who we might see, but stars you've had the privilege of working with. Characterize that obviously in the sound world, editing world, but I'm always first time I heard pretty amazing, but I get it. You're in that marketplace, but what's some of the stars, and maybe you'll go into a memorable story for us.
Yeah, what comes to mind? So
drums underwater. Who did you play drums underwater for?
I was working with Ariana Grande just as she was breaking out early on.
Okay.
And she was doing a New Year's Eve show in Pennsylvania.
Lingerie?
Well, some of the costumes, I suppose, are kind of like lingerie.
Yeah, good one.
But I was filming her. I was following her around for the night, doing behind the scenes stuff and filming her live show.
Okay.
But the point is, when it came down to the New Year's Eve countdown, she was the one who was doing the countdown on stage to drop the ball.
Right.
And I said, okay, I'm going to get a great shot of you. We're going to walk on stage. I'm going to take a steady cam and I'm going to fly around you as you're walking to the stage. And Ariana said, I don't know if we could do that. I don't know if they're going to like that. And I remember saying, look, you do what you want. We do what we want until someone stops us. And then I saw her backstage about 2 years, 3 years later when she was now a big superstar.
Right.
And I said, do you remember what I told you then? And now she was queen of the world. So she does whatever she wants. And she laughed that it's funny how you're meek and apprehensive in the early stages. And it was really cool to watch her blossom.
Awesome.
Do you still get to talk to Ariana Grande?
She got too big. I don't even bother now.
Yeah.
But you had a big part.
I'm holding that card, for when I really need it. Because yeah,
I dated. Here I go. I dated Wolfman Jack's daughter for 6 months. But yeah.
What was her name?
Joy Smith.
Joy Wolf.
No, it's much below that standard. The real name was Smith. So,
okay.
So Lou Smith and
yeah.
So yeah. Hey, next question. What was a musical moment that you really got excited by? Just that. What was a musical moment out of all your history, but one that we had mentioned prior, but you wanted to share?
Well, so I had worked on as a music editor a number of TV shows, right? So I was G.I. Joe, Shaman Kings, Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, a couple of others.
Animation, a lot of animation, or
right. That's Saturday morning anime on Fox and WB. Anyway, I was shopping one afternoon and I get a phone call while I was shopping, and it was the producer from Yu-Gi-Oh, and he said, "Look, we're going to make Yu-Gi-Oh the movie, like the Hollywood version, and we want you to be the music editor." And just that, for some reason, that just lit me up because I'd been working on the show for 2 years, and I just felt like I knew all this music inside and out.
Okay, right.
So it's when you get moments like that you just like don't expect it, and all of a sudden, I don't know. It's nice that people, I guess, recognize you. But the whole thing with Yu-Gi-Oh was really interesting because every dialogue line had different music. They would hire a team of composers to do the first 10 episodes. They would give me all the music. I would chop it up into a library of categories, feelings.
Right.
And every dialogue of line, I would change the music. So it was kind of tedious, but it sounded like when the whole episode was done, it was scored and they would save money this way. And I wound up, there were some times where I couldn't find anything. I wound up composing little bits and pieces here and there. And what I didn't know is that you go on as a composer and you get residuals for this. To this day, I did this is 2004. I still get residual checks. Now they're tiny now. But I looked on my TV here in North Carolina. There is now a Yu-Gi-Oh channel, 24 hours of all my shows. And I'm like, wow. Yes, that'll be a car payment for me somewhere down the line.
Now I know we could find all the choices we have on broadcasting and TV, but where are you finding that channel, or is that Roku or
so I have,
or do you remember, what do you have?
I have Direct Stream. It's just a channel on Direct Stream.
Direct, gotcha.
Direct TV.
Well, that is awesome.
So you can go watch your work at any time, Keith?
24 hours a day.
That is freaking amazing.
Okay.
I still, to this day, do not understand. I don't know how these kids understand the plots of this stuff. It's like a foreign language, the game itself, which is what the show is basically just a promotion for the game, the card game.
Right. right. I know a printer in the Triangle, Raleigh. Maybe it's RTP, but they have the major contract for the Pokemon cards.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine the size of that contract, but I think they handle a good U.S. worldwide part of the distribution and the printing of those cards. And I can't, wow.
Right.
And
It's the same company that made that too.
yeah,
So I worked on that show too.
and it's
Oh, of course you did.
and
Yeah.
in the RTP, or as we describe them, their presence in the Triangle, just this printing company, it's just building after building after
Yeah. Yeah.
building. It's space,
Same thing we
space.
did. I also worked on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. The same thing. Same
Yes.
concept of all this stuff.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. And winding up,
Yes,
Keith,
sir.
on time and trying to
Yeah.
share this some exclusivity, our new website. You think it was fun writing a jingle for bands and clubs of the Triangle? Well, now if we tie you up, shoot you, dart you, just think you do that, all that work that we you did for bands and clubs of the Triangle, and then we come out with a statewide website, ncbandsandclubs.com. Where do you go? NCBand.
Band.com.
Yeah, yes.
Bands in the club. So it's just ending with clubs?
.com.
Well, .com, don't
Yeah,
ncbandsandclubs.com.
everyone knows a .com. Bands in the come on. We're going to the pub. Bands in the club. I will come up with something.
But I won't make it. You don't need today, right? I mean, I had to be taught this, not to. You don't need the www dot. So
No.
see,
And
I know you're
yeah,
saying
forget
you
that.
don't. We don't need the .com either.
You probably do.
All right, all right, all right.
I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna try it.
We're talking about all the bands and your presence. What's been the biggest challenge right now in the mix of that? Lots of opportunity for you. You're an arm of bands and so forth. But what's become one of your biggest challenges on your plate right now?
I think it's booking gigs, finding venues. It's an endless process. There are places that I've played at for 3, 4 years straight every month, and then all of a sudden they decide they get a new manager and they want to go in a different direction. They want to do all electric music instead of acoustic, or they are going to do DJ, and they try all the stuff, and a lot of times it fails. I find they always come back a few years later, but you got to constantly keep finding new places because they go out of business. Other places pop up,
Right, right.
and it's not easy getting in.
Yeah, and we do in the Triangle. Correct me if I'm wrong. We have lots of places. We
Yeah,
we are pretty blessed.
yeah, we really do.
Our weekly choice list coming out a Wednesday night, Thursday morning on ncbandsandclubs.com. Just a perspective, Keith. Of course, you know it, but to hear the numbers is pretty amazing. Now we're running about 250 plus musical acts,
Yeah.
solo duo bands every week. And we get to something like St. Patrick's, and then I think we were at about 320. Just the different reasons to celebrate around local music.
Hmm.
That's pretty amazing. We've seen it grow. Obviously, we can think back years to COVID and so forth, but
I
if
can't tell you how many times I've asked people, where did you hear about us? They said they saw it on bands and clubs. They decided to come check it out. They're always looking for live music.
right, right,
Oh,
exactly.
good. Thank you for sharing
Yeah.
that.
So just in our growth, we've tried to move that list, do some migration of the list to our new website. I think that makes sense for eyeballs
And
and
what's that website?
viewers, ncbandsandclubs.com. You don't have to have the www. I do have the .com for finding it, but yes, ncbandsandclubs.com. This special interview in time with Keith G it won't take us too long to get that up there. There's lots of tabs, lots of tabs. It seems like it's always growing. One of those,
ncbandsandtheclubs.com.
yeah.
Live music. Let's see what's going on.
There you go. There you go.
There's
Yeah.
And you can look at the list, or you can put in the town or the venue or even the band's name in there to see if they're, what's going on with them that week.
Ah, cool.
Couple of
Yeah.
different search ways.
You can do all that. You can do all that. There's a tab for interviews is one of the locations, a tab for interviews. So this will be up there pretty soon.
Okay.
Where do we find Keith G represented in terms of, hey, we're stirring this interview up to our 12,000 plus on bands and clubs, 22,000 plus multiple pages that we contribute to with local music. But how do those followers follow you and get updated on, I guess, you on Keith G or wherever you'll direct us?
Yeah,
where you're playing this weekend.
So I've been better at keeping this thing up to date. I've been struggling lately, but Keith G Music on Facebook, that's a great place to go. And my webpage, my business is called Motion Audio Vision.
Okay.
MotionAudiovision.com. And there's a tab on there for Keith G Music.
Great.
And I will list all these bands eventually. I don't even think I have it up to date yet, but I will post all the new stuff on there soon.
All right. Well, good.
Very good.
Thank you.
Very good.
Thank you for that. Thank you for this time. Nice studio, nice equipment behind you, and on our list to see you soon, as it is for so many. It's hard to be everywhere, but a growing team of volunteers. Gosh, about 20 of us now. Different life cycles and how they participate every weekend, but we're excited about the team we have with NC Bands and Clubs of the Triangle, and that. And I think we'll play some of your jingle on the way out. But again, thank you, and appreciate it, and God bless, and we'll look forward to hearing you soon, Keith.
Love you guys. Thanks for bringing the party.
Thank you.
All right.
I hear it.
Bands and Clubs of the Triangle.
NCBandsandClubs.com.